I'll be there anyway.
Nominations for the chair for this coming year.
Not huge.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Generally, no, but we'll take one. Is there a second? I'll second. Okay. Is there a second? Are there any further nominations? If there aren't any, I would entertain a motion for election by acclamation. Is there a second to that motion? Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Stevens, and I happily pass the gavel to you.
Thank you very much. Next, I will make a motion. I'll make a motion that Randall Jones be the vice chair. Looking for a second. Have a second. Are there any other nominations?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Mark Bowers as the vice president.
Vice chair.
I'm vice chair.
Have a nomination for vice chair. Do we have a second? I've asked 3 times. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Seeing that there's not a second, motion fails. And we're looking for a motion of acclamation. All those in favor, or first of all, any motion?
I'll make that.
Have a motion by Mr. Spivey. Have a second? Second from Mr. Gilmore. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Now we will have the election for TLN representative, and I will nominate Matthew Spivey. So that, need a second.
I'll second that.
Second for Mr. Gilmore. Any further nominations? Any further nominations?
I nominate Mark Harrison. Can you do
That's a pretty hefty thing, if you want to do it.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for election by acclamation.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Gilmore, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Jones. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Now we'll begin the regular meeting, and I'll call the meeting, I don't have to call it to order, but we will stand now for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge. Mr. Gilmore, will you lead us in the pledge?
Attention, salute, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business, as usual, is to approve the agenda. When we approve the agenda, we also approve the consent agenda and all the items in it, including any minutes from any previous meetings. Looking for a motion. Motion by Mr. Spivey, second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. I'll turn the meeting now over to the director.
Good evening. So under the director's report, we are happy this evening to have several celebrations here for some of our student successes. And so I'm going to turn this now over to Dr. Robin McClellan, who is going to come and tell us about our Mayon winners, about the program, and then she's going to introduce each of the winners, and we will have a little something to give you. So thank all of you for coming out tonight. It's really great to see children in
I told Dr. Cox, this makes it all worthwhile when you're able to celebrate kids and do something to honor their hard work. So every year we come together to you and we celebrate children who have read many books and whose reading level has grown over the course of the summer by reading these books and having great parents to read to them. So Mayon is a digital library. So it's kind of like having a library in their backpack with their device or their phone. And nothing replaces the beauty of holding a book, but this is great access to lots of different books for our children. And it's based on their interests, so they can get in there and read what they like. The district purchases this so that our elementary students can have this additional pathway to reading over the summer. And so over this past summer, our Sullivan County students read 121,077 online books, different lengths. So that's children across the district. And they read over 1.5 million minutes, which is exciting as I'm a reader and you are readers. And that was in checks between home and school over the course of the school year. So it doesn't replace the beauty of the book in the child's hands, but it's another resource we can provide because we want our children to read 20 minutes every night at home with someone. And that's a great way to improve their reading as well, and as well as to build their knowledge. So we are here to honor children who have either read more than 100 books and completed them in the Mayon platform, or children who read many books and their reading level grew to be the greatest growth in their school. They're going to receive, guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to send it to your schools, a $25 gift certificate to Barnes & Noble. It's in the works. They're just not here tonight. And they're also going to receive a basket of 7 beautiful books that I made sure were good, strong books for our kids to enjoy, many hardcovers. And so we're just going to celebrate them. And guys, I talked to some of you about this, but if I pronounce your name wrong, make sure you tell me, because names are very important, and I want you to be honored and recognized by the correct pronunciation of your name. I practiced, but there were no promises, so. Mr. Flannery's gonna stand up, and we're gonna call out, they get a certificate, they get to shake the director's hand, and then the gift certificate will be on the way to their schools. And I wanna honor the parents, thank you for encouraging your children to be readers, and grandparents, met some of those tonight too. One at a time. Laura Whitehead. Vincent Whitehead. That's pretty powerful when we've got a family of winners down here. We've got another family as well. Is it Kylie Short? Did I pronounce it right? Do we have Harley Starnes here? Harley is our only middle school winner, and she is from Bluntville Middle School. And I put you a really good Lord of the Rings trilogy in here. I hope you'll dive in. And there's Dr. Cox, shake his hand. There you go. Arthur Glenn. Mr. Hollis' class. And we have Marshall Price. Lauren Case. And Lauren actually had the most growth in reading level at her school and read over 100 books. So she's Cameron Parker. Aubrey Gallimore. I love that they dressed up and look so fancy too. Congratulations. Abigail Odom. And I've grown up with their family, but don't tell anyone because they might tell something bad about me. Abby Gross. Jalea Miller. Jelia. Jalea. Okay, got it, Jalea. You look fancy. That's great. You're welcome. Abigail Desolin. Matthew Brown. I'll make sure they get their goodies. And I bet this is big brother, Zachary Desolin. McKenna Chrisley. We can still clap for him. Quite an honor. Jordan Rush. Ian Blevins. You're welcome. Elijah Pruitt. Thanks so much. Congratulations.
Okay, and next under the director's report, we will now have a data presentation, also by Dr. McClellan, Mr. Miller, and Dr. Palmer. We're going to share lots of good news. We're so proud of the accomplishments of our schools, the hard work led by our teachers and principals and our students and instructional staff. And we have many celebrations that we want to talk about this evening. So, Dr. Palmer, are you talking first?
I'm gonna talk first.
All right.
So, doesn't that bring you joy seeing all the kids come up reading books? This is not probably as precious, but it's still a lot of joy. Okay, so first of all, I want to recognize some students who have done some great work. As you see presented in front here, we have several pieces of artwork which I think are great. My past as a teacher is taught music and all kinds of different things, and always enjoyed the arts. And so these students from Holston Middle School and Holston Elementary have brought some art for us today to be presented. Are any of our artists who did this great work, are any of them here today? No? Well, let's see. I'd love to show them off to you. So we'll try to get them here next time so you can see who they are. We're very proud of their work. It's excellent. So, but that's not why I'm here. So I'm going to show you and present to you today the results of some of the work that our schools have done, and our school system has done this past year. As you can see from the screen here, these are results from last year. But as it works with public schools, you get awarded the score from the previous year's results. Okay? So I'm going to share with you how that landed for us this year based on last year's results. So every district has several different things they're held accountable for that make up an overall score for a district. Okay? And when a district is scored, they're scored based on these 5 categories. Either they're exemplary, which is the highest score that you can get, advancing, satisfactory, marginal, and in need of improvement. And so, knowing that, our district this year, as according to last year's score, we are advancing. Let me go back and show that off again. Look here. So we're the 4th highest that you can get as far as the state is concerned. So we're really excited about that score. So out of 5, we're 4. Okay, 5 being the highest. So we think that's great. We're super excited about what that means for our county and how it represents the growth that we've seen this year. And so, with that being said, I'm going to show you some of the things that are highlights about why and what we did to get such a score. First of all, our chronic absenteeism, which is one of the 5 many indicators actually, but it's one of the more important ones. We decreased in chronic absenteeism from 16 to 14%. That's 2 percentage points improvement. And when you look at as many students that we have in our district, that's actually a really strong improvement. That's a good gain for us. English language learners increased proficiency on the WIDA test from 41.9% to 70%. It's a huge gain. Ready graduate status, it's too much to explain. Trust me, that's a big deal. But it increased from 34.6 to 43.3. Another major indicator. Graduation rate, year after year, we continue to increase our graduation rate. It's gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. And somehow, no, we still found a way to increase that again this year to an all-time high of 95.4. Very proud of that. And then finally, the district AC is another indicator that has increased year after year. We've gotten better and better and stronger at that year after year. And we found another way to make an increase from 20.3 to 20.6. And that is with a 99.58 percentile participation rate. I think in the whole district we had 3 kids that did not take the test. And that's what we ended up with that score. That's remarkable. We're very excited about that. Moving on to give you some more detail about each of the subject levels. The 2018% of on-track and master students are in blue. This was year before that, 2018. This past year, 2019 scores are the ones that are in red. So you can see, looking at the bar graph, we had a hiccup in Algebra 1. That's where we have to find some improvement this year. We know what happened, and we know what we need to do with Algebra 1. But if you look all the way across the bar graph, Algebra 2, increase. English 1, increase. English 2, great big old increase, right? Geometry, great increase. Social studies, U.S. history, 3 through 8, ELA, 3 through 8 math, all the way across the line, an increase in scores for Sullivan County this year. That's why we have 4. We're very happy about that. As you look at the performance levels, I'm going to show you another graph after this, but I have to kind of show you this first so it makes sense. There's a numerical score that's attached to each one of the colors that you see. 5, once again, being the highest, down to 1, meaning that there's some evidence that we have some improvement to make. So if you understand that, then when you look at this, you see more specific, or more specificity in how we scored to each of the categories once again. Our district overall composite, the very top row up there that you see, our overall composite as a district, you see how it landed, composite of 4. That's where our overall district score comes from, are these graphs. When you break it down, in literacy, the overall was a 5, numeracy was a 1. It goes back to that Algebra 1 score I showed you earlier. That's where we have to make the improvement. When you combine the literacy and the numeracy, the literacy score was so strong that it actually brought the numeracy score up quite a bit. So that's why when you do the simple math, you say, well, how was that a 4? It's because the literacy was so strong. And then finally, our social studies score was excellent. We've been really strong in social studies in Sullivan County for a while, and it came through for us again. In grades 4 through 8, you can see the results there. I won't read them all out to you again. The biggest indicators, the one right across the top there, but you see how it all landed, okay? So, the State Department has several designations for school systems all across the state. And when you look at those designations, they are priority and comprehensive support for improvement. That's when the state come in and really provide a lot of intensive support for a school system. We don't have any schools that place there at all. Additional target support is less care from the state. They're concerned about you, and they're going to send you a letter and say, yeah, you need to work on your scores, but they're not going to provide any intensive care to our school system at all because we're doing okay, right? When we get to targeted support and improvement, we did have some schools that fell in that category. They sent us a letter and say, hey, you guys watch your numbers. We're like, okay, we know what we're doing. We got it. We're going to be okay. The big deal is right there at the very bottom, our reward school. We have 7 reward schools, which means we have 7 schools that are absolutely killing it. They knocked it out of the park. They did about as good as you can do in a school for educating kids in public school education. That's 7 out of 22 schools. That's 32% of the schools in Sullivan County are a reward school. That's remarkable. Compare that to anybody, by the way, really. Look that up and compare it to anybody. This is a great number to have. I want to honor those schools by showing you who they all are. I'm sure we have several students sitting here that are from these schools, so you can have a little bit of bragging rights. Central Heights Elementary School, congratulations. Holston Elementary School. Holston Middle School. Some of our artwork today is from Holston Middle School and Holston Elementary. Ketron Elementary School. Miller Perry Elementary School. Second year reward school, by the way. That's something to be very proud of. Rock Springs Elementary. And Sullivan South High School. Second year reward school and 4 consecutive years of being a level 5 school. That's just unheard of. So that's the end of the presentation, and I hope that all those numbers and that stuff that we presented means a little bit to you. We're really proud of the job that all of our teachers and our schools and our principals and our leaders have done this year, and we just expect to continue to rise and get better and better. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for being here tonight, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Questions or comments from board members? If there aren't any, then I would like to ask Ms. Deneen Lynch, who is our project architect, to come forward and share some updates on our projects.
First, we'll will start with Sullivan East Middle School, and I know last week we had a brick laying ceremony out at the school, and thanks to all the hard work of the masons out there, I can say that we're 100% complete on the front of the school. So that includes the brick that you guys laid. This is an access road, a ring road around the school that got paved, and so that was a nice accomplishment. All these pictures that I'm going to show you are things that happened since you guys were out there last week. Okay, and so this is the road that will go to the parent drop-off. So that was a big deal to get this paved because we've been in the mud for the last year, so it's really nice to have some binder coat down. And then you can see a little better here, this is the side of the new media center, and this will be the parent loop drop-off, and just to the right of that is the cafeteria. And this is the front of the school, so the stone is about 90% complete on the front of the building, and like I said, the brick itself is 100% complete. So now they're working their way around to the back of the school. And then we've also started ceiling tile in the second floor of the classrooms. And so, just to talk a little bit about the schedule, we are expecting to have this classroom wing, which is the front wing of the school. That will be complete the end of October, and then the gym and the rest will be complete the end of November, so that we'll be doing punch list and moving of furniture in December. Okay. Any questions on the middle school portion of the site? All right. We also have Westridge High School, and so I was out there this morning taking some photos, and then we also have some aerial photos that we're going to show you. This is the map again, just to kind of orient you a little bit. And when we talk about the building, the very front of the building is the A part, and then the middle part is B, C, and E. And then in the back is, on the left side, is the auditorium, the middle is the cafeteria, and the right is the gym. And then you can see the athletic field. So we'll see, this is from Saturday to today of the activity going on. So this is the field house, and you might remember from last week, the photograph is from the back side, so this is from the front side, and they're expecting to pour the slab starting tomorrow. And it will be 2 or 3 pours. This is quite complicated of a concrete pour because there's so many restrooms and so many drains and things. So normally they could pour this size slab in one day, but like I said, this will be at least 2 to 3 days to pour. And then you can see the school in the background. So this is looking, I'm standing on the athletic field, looking back at the school. You can see 2 cranes in the background. So we're looking at the side of the A building and the C building, and then just to the right will be where we'll have D building. And so now we've moved a little bit more to the right. So where you see the large equipment there, that's grading that's ongoing right now, and that's grading out where the rear loop road will be. And this is an aerial that was taken on Saturday. So the front of the school is, you can see the trailer up at the top of the page. Then just down from that trailer are what we're calling the A buildings. And then where you see the next piece of building, that is B and C and E. And what you're seeing is the top of the slab, and the part that's on the lower section, that's burlap that we've laid out to cure the concrete. And you can kind of look down and see the crane. And then just to the bottom part of the page is where you can start seeing the foundations. And so that's the foundations for the cafeteria and the gym. And then at the far top of the page, you can see where we paved the parking lot. So that's another big improvement. And you can see the bus loop road just in the foreground. All right, so now this is looking a little bit different. You can see more of the traffic circle in the front. So that's where you'll enter off of Lynn Road, and then showing a little bit more of the aerial of the building. And now we're way kind of farther away out towards the interstate, and so this is the front of the school. The purple is insulation, and you're seeing the rest of the buildings beyond. And then further and beyond that, where you see the dirt, that's where we were talking about having the foundations and the underground utilities going in. And then this one is, the drone is flying around a little bit more towards the interstate, and so you can start to really see the roads, the entry roads coming in, the circle, the bus loop, And then as you peel off to the right, that will be a parking lot right there, which will be staff and visitor parking. And just to the upper right-hand corner is where the athletic fields will be. So this was a beautiful day to be able to take drone shots, and I think you can really see a whole lot of activity compared to where we were a month ago. And I think that's the last one. Do we have any questions on the high school? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. West. That concludes the direction.
Thank you very much. We talked about some possible dates at the workshop. 9/26 was the workshop, 4:30. Is everyone still good with that date? If so, we'll stay with that. And then our regular meeting will be October 3rd, 6:30. Kind of keep in mind that in our next workshop, we're going to talk about a call meeting for board self-evaluation that'll take place sometime in October. Keep in mind that the fall district meeting is September the 16th at 3:30. We'll meet here. Maybe you noticed an email from Mr. Torbett. We have a over the mountain trail field trip the 24th at 11 a.m. that everyone's been invited to come to. I hope the ones that can will try to make it. I was going to mention the same events that we sponsored or we supported last year. The Race for Wandale, September the 28th at 10 a.m. at Eastside Elementary School. Also, we're going to support the race that the sheriff puts on. I think they call it the Scorpion Race. It's a 5K with a 2-mile walk. All proceeds go to the SWAT team. So, the last thing I'd like to do is I'd like to congratulate our school system on the recent success in the testing. Mr. Palmer, you did a really good job explaining it. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Very, very excited and pleased, but it's just a confirmation of what I already thought, I already knew. We appreciate everyone's hard work. I know that our people don't really look for credit, but in this case, I don't think it can be overstated. The success that we've had this past year. I'd like to also mention our past director, Evelyn Revelowski. When she saw these scores, she couldn't hardly contain herself and keep it quiet. She couldn't wait till I think they released August the 15th. And it was very hard for her to keep that quiet. So it's a good way for her to go out. And of course, everyone here knows that she deserves a lot of that credit. What pride she took in our school system. So congratulations and thank everyone who participated and made it possible very much. That's all I have. Thank you.
And continuing on under unfinished business, items A through E are policies that are being recommended. We involved at the last meeting, all these policies were approved on first reading. These are recommended policies by TSBA, largely in response to the legislative session from this year. So I do recommend their adoption on second reading. Is it your pleasure to vote on them each individually or okay, I would recommend that if it's your pleasure to approve them on second reading, items A through E as a group.
You have a recommendation. I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Iverson. Do I hear a second? Second, Mr. Thomas. Discussion? Hearing none?
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Travers?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Iverson?
Yes.
Thank you. Continuing on with unfinished business, item F is the Holston warehouse property, and Mr. Hall.
Good evening. Just catching us all back up to date. We have had this on the agenda for several months. We did get some input from an attorney who's a real estate expert to look at that, look at the status of the title and the restrictions on the property, which to some extent are generally revolve around the restriction on use for educational purposes. We also, you asked me to get a real estate appraiser to give us some information about, from his perspective on the property. I have communicated with him and may want to communicate some more, but my suggestion would be that I bring back to you next month, perhaps in conjunction with Dr. Cox or Mr. Hughes or whoever else wants the input on that, and bring you back a recommendation, putting all that together, that you can look at and consider what to do with the property, if that's okay.
I'd like to make a motion to table it until the next meeting.
Table to the next meeting, do I hear a second? Second. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Spivey?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Ashton?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes. Thank you. Then moving on to new business, we do have items A through E, which are policies that we're recommending on first reading. We did have a meeting of our policy committee. We shared these recommendations at our work session that took place a week ago. So I do recommend the review on first reading of the policies that are listed, A through E, which is surplus property sales, safety, emergency preparedness plan, threat assessment, and policy on substitute teachers.
I would like one information though. On 2.403, I couldn't get my computer to open up the other day, so I'm just asking a question. The surplus property sale, is that the small items, or is this going to be rolled in as far as real property also? As far as buildings and such? Is it just personal or like
It's a small property.
Okay, because it says it in the original one, but it doesn't say it in this one, so I just want to make sure. So the intent is going to be small items. Okay. Thank you.
Right, and then we come next to item F under new business, and this is the adoption of the 2020-2021 school calendar. And I'm going to ask our assistant director, Ms. Buckles, to come and talk about that. We do have a recommendation, and she's going to tell us about the process that has led us to this recommendation this evening. Ms. Buckles.
So every year we send out for a vote, 2 calendar choices, and we allow 1 week for people to vote on those. Sometimes it's a runaway vote, and sometimes it's really close. This year was the closest since I've built the calendar, and it was less than 1%, a total of 17 votes out of like, I forget, 1764 or something. I would recommend though that we adopt calendar 1, even though it was 0.8% lower than calendar 2, basically because it is the calendar that most closely resembles the calendar we've had in the last several years. It has a longer Christmas break for families. Calendar 2 would push us to December 23rd before kids would be released, which is really hard, I think, for parents for traveling to the holiday. So my recommendation would be adoption of calendar number 1.
We have a recommendation, do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Gilmore makes a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Jones seconds the motion. Discussion? Hearing none?
Wait, just a minute. Ms. Buckles, so even though teachers voted for the other calendar,
All people vote, parents, families, teachers, so I don't know, I can't tell you who that 0.8% was difference, because everybody's allowed to vote. It's It's out there on the website for anybody that wants to know.
Do we have like a count of how many voted compared to last year's vote?
It is lower by a couple hundred than last year.
The most significant change, I'm sorry. The most significant parts of it, from what I remember you saying, is one starts a little bit later and the other one has a longer holiday break and has more time throughout the year.
Right, so calendar number one actually starts 1 week earlier than calendar number two. Calendar number one, Christmas break would be a half a day on December 18th. Calendar two is December 23rd, half a day. They both start back in January, basically the same day. In calendar number one, there's a 2-day winter break. Calendar number two, there's a 1-day winter break. They have the exact same fall and spring break dates, and the exact same end date in May,
Thank you.
and the exact same Thanksgiving break as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, because we have teachers that have to make a major move over spring break, over Christmas break.
Right.
Yeah.
That'll be this year.
This year.
That'll be this year.
I want to protect them.
Any further discussion? Hearing none?
Mr. Spivey,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes,
Yes.
Mr. Iverson,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
And I think we have one more person we need to recognize this evening. It's a student.
Elijah Pruitt.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you had to go.
We'll wait.
You had to go to the potty. We'll be right back with you. You can just, there's Paula. She's,
That's worth waiting for.
that sounds like my luck, so. He's a student at Miller Perry, and right there's his librarian, Heather Blevins, and he's in Miss Hayes' class. And here he is. Three books. This is Dr. Cox, our director of schools. He's a big boss.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we're proud of you for being brave and coming here and getting this. Here you go. And I'll send you this certificate to your school to go to Barnes and Noble shop, okay?
All right.
Okay?
Oh, yeah, I couldn't get my phone started. Okay, sure. Take your hand, Elijah. Thank you. Good? Yes. All right, there you go.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Hughes, that concludes the recommended business.
I don't see any requests for public comment on non-agenda items, so seeing no further business, we stand adjourned.